Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Great Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Well, here it is another Wednesday, and we're still having the Harvest Moon Festival. It's still going on. This is week 2. This is week 2 of the Harvest Moon Festival. And 1 week from now, the vegetarian Thanksgiving is going to take place, the vegan Thanksgiving. So, goddess worshippers Thanksgiving next Wednesday, the Wednesday after this one. So, mark it on your calendars. Next Wednesday, vegan Thanksgiving. Get everything you need from the grocery store to prepare for your Thanksgiving feast. And keep plugging away at the Harvest Moon Festival. Celebrate with your friends. Show off your skills. Show off something you learned this summer. And today, the subject is about something that I learned this summer. And the subject is Meatless Mondays. And why did I decide to do Meatless Mondays? Well, because I've taken up cooking again. And now that I've taken up cooking again, I want to make more vegan meals for my family. I want to be healthier. And I want to spare the animals. And I want to help the environment. And so I'm giving you some reasons today why you should adopt vegan meals on Mondays, and why you should go meatless on Mondays, why you should do this. So what do we mean by Meatless Mondays? Well, that's a vegan meal. So no fish, no poultry, no beef, no pork, no mutton, no eggs, and no dairy. Vegan. So this is a Meatless Monday, and not today, but you can make this a Meatless Wednesday if you like. You can make something for dinner that's meatless, or go out to eat at a vegan restaurant, or a restaurant that offers vegan selections. So this is what I want you to take away. I want you to remember the reason for having a Meatless Monday. And one of the biggest reasons is the environment. And I have an article here that I would like to read to you in part. It's on vegetariantimes.com. Vegetariantimes.com. The environmental impact of a meat-based diet. And you can follow along with me here as I go into this article. It says, I always knew that becoming a vegetarian would help prevent cruelty to animals, but I was not aware of the environmental consequences of a meat-eating diet. And so, the production of beef and other animal protein consumes large amounts of natural resources such as water, fossil fuels, and topsoil, while polluting our water and air. In fact, switching to a plant-based diet from a meat-eating diet is the single most important move I can make to help the environment. Much more effective than turning off the water when I brush my teeth, or recycling and reusing. Although I will always continue to conserve and recycle. One of the biggest environmental impacts of a meat-eating diet is the depletion of natural resources, particularly the consumption of vast amounts of water for livestock production. Today, there are more than 17 billion livestock in the world. That's about triple the number of people. Raising these animals requires huge amounts of water, most of it used to irrigate the grains and hay fed to the animals. According to the Water Education Foundation, it takes 2,464 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of beef in California. And this is what is depleting the aquifers in California. California is 1 year away from an environmental catastrophe where they won't have enough water, and the livestock industry, raising food for and hay for the and corn for the livestock, uses up 50% of the water in California, and that doesn't count what the livestock are using for drinking and washing. This is the same amount of water you would use if you took a 7-minute shower every day for 6 entire months. In contrast, only 25 gallons of water are needed to produce 1 pound of wheat. So 2,464 gallons of water versus 25 gallons. Big difference. Present human water consumption drains aquifers around the world. Water tables are dropping drastically and wells are going dry. The United States Geological Survey says that 40% of fresh water used in the U.S. in 2000 went to irrigate feed crops for livestock. Only 13% was used for domestic purposes, including showers, flushing toilets, washing cars, and watering lawns. Switching to a plant-based diet or reducing the amount of meat in your diet is by far the most important choice you can make to save water. Raising livestock depletes other natural resources as well, including fossil fuels and topsoil. Aside from the cost of grains used to feed livestock, you can also measure the cost of fossil fuel energy. Agricultural production uses 10% of the energy used every year in the United States. David Pimentel from Cornell explained it this way: 40 calories of fossil fuel are needed to produce 1 calorie of protein from feedlot beef, while only 2 calories of fossil fuel are needed to produce 1 calorie of protein from tofu. Topsoil is another vital natural resource, being used faster than nature can replace it. The production of corn and soybeans, the major grains fed to livestock, causes massive soil erosion because those crops are grown in rows. The bare patches between the rows expose the topsoil to both wind and rain erosion. Pimentel has calculated that in Iowa, 1/2 of the topsoil has been lost due to farming over the past 100 years. It is estimated that we lose nearly 7 billion tons of topsoil every year. Another natural resource that is being threatened today by the increased production of livestock is the rainforest. According to the Nature Conservancy, every second of every day, 1 football field of rainforest is being destroyed. Much of this forest land is being cut down to farm and raise livestock, which is then exported to the U.S. and ends up in fast food hamburgers. And then it goes on about how much rainforest is lost. 30 different plant species, 100 different insect species, and dozens of bird, mammal, and reptile species are destroyed. Additional impacts on the environment from the meat-eating diet are pollution of our water and air. All of the livestock being raised throughout the world produce enormous amounts of manure and urine, which in turn pollute natural resources. Animal waste changes the pH of our water, contaminates our air, and the gases emitted are believed to be a major cause of global warming, like methane. To keep costs down, the modern animal farming practice is to raise livestock in feedlots and factory farms where tens or thousands or tens of thousands of animals are crowded into small spaces. However, this makes the animal waste problem worse because of concentrated waste. Livestock in the U.S. produce 2.7 trillion pounds of manure each year. That's about 10 times more waste than was produced by all the American people. What happens to all this waste? Some farmers spray the manure on nearby fields for fertilizer. However, this can be expensive, does not provide the best nutrient balance for growing plants, and can spread diseases carried in the waste to humans. Some farmers use manure lagoons as a safe way to store millions of gallons of animal waste. These lagoons, it turns out, are not so safe. In 1995, 25 million gallons of manure and urine spilled from a hog farm lagoon into the New River in North Carolina. More than 10 million fish were immediately killed, and 364,000 acres of coastal wetlands were closed to shell fishing. In the Gulf of Mexico, there is a 7,000 square mile dead zone where there is no aquatic life due to pollution from animal waste and chemical fertilizers. The pollution from factory farms and feedlots is happening throughout the U.S. and is beginning to happen throughout the world. If we decrease our consumption of animal products, we can also decrease the threat of water pollution. The waste from factory farms gives off many harmful gases such as ammonia, methane, and hydrogen sulfide, as well as clouds of dust and particles which pollute our air. So there's a horrible smell from the lagoons, which affects communities nearest the farms. And animal farms are responsible for 73% of the ammonia released into the air, which contributes to smog and acid rain. It can cause respiratory problems and form a brown cloud effect that is to be found only near large industrialized cities. Methane may be the most serious gas given off by livestock. In fact, the meat industry is the #1 source of methane throughout the world, releasing over 100 million tons a year. Methane is a gas that traps heat in the atmosphere and causes the Earth's temperature to rise. Methane is 21 times more powerful a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. 21 times. Theoretically, by reducing the amount of meat eaten throughout the world, we could slow down methane production and therefore global warming. So there you have it. It's a big environmental threat, eating meat. And the milk and eggs are not much better. So the meat, eggs, and even fish farms create a lot of pollution, and even fish from the ocean-going fish are endangered, and they contain heavy metals. So those are good reasons for not eating a lot of fish. And so there's lots of reasons not to eat meat and not to eat animal products. And so we go animal product free on Meatless Mondays. And to help you out in your Meatless Monday, I have a recipe here from onegreenplanet.org. Onegreenplanet.org has a vegan mushroom stroganoff recipe. And I'm going to read it to you so you can write it down. If you want to hear the recipe again, the link is in the notes on this video. Vegan mushroom stroganoff. Ingredients: 8 ounces uncooked ribbon noodles, 1 tablespoon olive oil, 1 yellow onion chopped, 3 tablespoons flour divided, 2 cups beefless beef broth or vegetable broth, 1 tablespoon soy sauce, 1 teaspoon lemon juice, 1 teaspoon tomato paste, 1.5 pounds of mushrooms, half a teaspoon dried thyme, half a teaspoon dried sage, half a teaspoon of salt, optional, 1 tablespoon white wine vinegar, a 1/4 cup vegan sour cream, not optional, 10 turns of fresh ground black pepper, and a 1/4 cup flat leaf parsley minced. Cook the noodles per direction on the package. Undercook them a bit because they will be cooked once again once incorporated into the sauce. Drain and set aside. In a large saucepan, add the olive oil and saute the onions for 3 minutes over medium heat. Add the flour and cook for 30 seconds, stirring constantly. Gradually add the broth, soy sauce, lemon juice, and tomato paste while stirring at the same time. Stir until mixture becomes thick and bubbly, about a minute. Add the mushrooms, thyme, sage, and salt. Stir to combine. Cook for 5 minutes, stirring frequently until mushrooms have shrunk in size. Add the vinegar and stir for 4 more minutes. Add the noodles, sour cream, 1 tablespoon of the flour, black pepper, and parsley, and cook on low for an additional 5 minutes. Garnish with parsley. And you can find the link in the notes for my video. So you can go back to it at any time and make a wonderful meal for your family that's vegan and that you can feel good about on Meatless Mondays. I'm Sarah Jane Alpha Wolf signing off. Remember, next week is vegan Thanksgiving, so prepare for the goddess worshippers Thanksgiving.